Half an hour into the session, the market has already staged a full round trip. Technology gapped down at the open on a memory chip sell-off. Sandisk fell about 10% before the bell after a record quarter analysts think cannot last. And SK Hynix dropped 6%, and buyers took it all back within 30 minutes. The 3x leveraged semiconductor fund traded as low as 120.75 and is back at 133. Nvidia never even flinched, holding above yesterday's close the entire time and trading at 222.16, up 1.33%. The headline number of the day is the scale of the build-out itself. American hyperscalers spending on AI is projected at $916 billion this year and more than $1.17 trillion next, close to 3 times the telecom boom as a share of the economy. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Fed's Anna Paulson said rates at 3.5 to 3.75% are already enough to bring inflation down. Account equity sits at $5,126.25, up $26.64 or 0.52% on the day. So the book is holding its ground without any fresh trades. That gain is modest but real, and it keeps the daily loss meter at 0% of 5%, which means the engine still has full permission to act. The only open position is 18 shares of Amazon, worth $4,934.34, now $186.48 underwater from the $284.49 entry, with the last print at $274.13 sitting just $278.80 below the synthetic stop. Since the last briefing there were no fills, so the engine stood pat rather than cutting or adding to the losing name. The decision board, dated August 6, 2026, ranks Nvidia at priority 5 as the top long, followed by Apple at 4, Microsoft at 3, Meta at 2, and Google at 1, while Oracle moved from long to flat. Since the engine holds at most one position, any new long like Nvidia has to displace Amazon, and with 6 names flat the board is waiting for a clear signal. Cash is $191.91 against buying power of $14,583.80, with 96.3% of the account deployed in Amazon, so the book is heavily committed to that single bet. The board changes since the last briefing, Apple flipping to long, Meta rising to priority 2, and Google climbing to priority 1, suggest a reshuffle, but no fill means the engine is not chasing anything yet. Nvidia holds the top of the queue, and its buy trigger is armed. It is trading at 222.16, up 1.33% on 22 million shares, and the detail that matters is what it did not do. While the rest of the chip complex gapped down at the open, Nvidia never traded below yesterday's close. That makes 6 higher closes in a row, roughly 17% in a week, from 190 at the end of July. Apple is the trade actually happening right now. Its momentum gauge has crossed above 0 on the bar in progress, from minus 0.01 to plus 0.08, with all 3 quality gates open, including the trend filter that requires price to sit above its longer-run average at 311.35 against 308.31. That means the buy confirms when this hour closes. Microsoft is third in the queue, and, for today, it is approval without opportunity. Both routes into it are shut. The snapback entry needed a dip to the lower volatility band, and instead the stock rallied to 494.90, up 1.5%, leaving the short-term oscillator at 77, nowhere near the line that fires it. Meta sits fourth, approved, but waiting, and the reason is mechanical. Its momentum gauge is above 0 and still climbing, at plus 0.33, which means the crossing that fires the buy has already happened and drifted past. These triggers fire on the crossing itself, so a fresh entry needs the gauge to sink back under 0 and climb through again. Alphabet stays at the back of the queue at reduced size, because nothing can fire here for days. Yesterday it fell 4% to 360.13 on nearly 30 million shares, its worst day in over a year, after chief scientist Jeff Dean and 3 other celebrated researchers announced they are leaving to start their own company, and DeepMind's Demis Hassabis stepped back from daily command. Today it is stabilizing in a tight $3 range at 361.07.